Blah.
Yo, how you doing? Hey, it's your old pal, Rocky. I am so excited to unveil today's episode of Pizza Punk because up to this point, it's pretty much been a ginormous sausage pizza. Finally, I get to use that joke. It's like that meme where all the hot dogs are being thrown in the face, you know? You know the one I'm talking about, that one, like that. Occasionally, we've had female presence on the show, but it's far and few between, which is why I was so stoked when I was finally able to schedule an interview with Abby Ooze. You may or may not have heard of Abby. She keeps a very low profile, as we will speak about in the episode. I am incredibly enamored by her artistic output. She really, truly imbues the spirit of punk rock tenacity to me personally. Just the way that she approaches music, we kind of touched on it a little bit in the interview, but I don't really think I properly emphasized how incredible her songwriting is. She is a perfect representation of everything that I need to do the thing that I want to do is inside of me. And there's nothing out there stopping me from doing it if I want to do it, because that's exactly what she does. And she does all of this stuff really without much support from the internet. Generally speaking, in today's day and age, if you want to be a musician, you need to be on the internet. You need to be promoting yourself 24/7. And yet she is somehow still making a impact without relying on these things. She's got a Bandcamp. That's really about it. Go follow her on that Bandcamp so that you can be aware of when she puts out a new release, when she is playing a show. This is the type of independent art that needs to be supported. In fact, as some of you know, I write. I'm a writer. I write all sorts of stuff, particularly screenplays. Part of my process is writing to music. And on this last one, the My Shadow thing, remember we did the audio play version of what will eventually, hopefully, possibly be my third feature-length film. Welcome to the rehearsal for My Shadow Draft 2. Part of the soundtrack was Abby's latest EP. I had to play it a few times, every single time I had a writing session. There's something about music, it's very important to world building, when I'm building something in my mind. And I'm so grateful for the music because it's inspiring. It inspired me to help tell part of that story. Wow, I am super forgetful today. One thing I forgot to mention, so sorry about this. You are going to notice a lot of edits. There are a lot of jump cuts. We had difficulty with the internet and the Wi-Fi, and so I had to do a lot of editing. I had to do a lot of closing the gaps on whatever. So sorry about that. It happens. Hey, punk rock, right? Am I right? It's all good. You can still hear everything that's being said. That's it. Okay. Back to what I was saying. I really can't wait to see what else Abby Ooze does next. I'd also like to take a quick minute to tell you about the Patreon. We also have YouTube memberships. This is a great way to show your support for the channel and get something at the same time. Because when you sign up to become a Patreon member or a YouTube member, you are granted access to a large archive of content that is not publicly available. Hours and hours and hours of stuff, some of which is not really meant for internet consumption, I would say. And in a little bit, we'll tell you about Riot Stickers, the official sponsor of the Frumess YouTube channel. Okay, Jeff, roll the interview. Welcome, Abby, to the show. I'm always looking for good music in general. And I'm going to tell you about how I stumbled across your music.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So, please. All right. So I don't know if I should, because this is, no, it's just, it's because it's a tender subject, man. Like, I don't know how everybody feels about that. So I think you and I both used to mutually love an artist.
Okay.
And I was at this artist's show, and every time this artist used to come to town, I would always check on Instagram under the hashtag of said artist because I wanted to see video of
Oh
the show.
no.
Of the show.
Is it what I think it is? Oh
Oh,
no.
hold on. So I saw this artist for the last time in person. Um, I mean, I've been seeing every time this artist came to town, I would see them for like 10 years. I would see them and kind of got a, became an acquaintance sort of like every time they like, name to name basis, that kind of thing. Just enamored by this musician. And yeah, but like I said, I would have a great time at the show. And then I'd always want to see the pictures afterwards. And so I'd always check the hashtags on Instagram. And that's when I came across you doing a cover. And I was like, this is super cool because it's like an inverse cover. It was like an inverse of the song. And then that brought me to your page. And then I think I found the Brat song. What is it? Just Brat, right?
Yeah, Brat.
Yeah, Brat. You had a really cool acoustic version of Brat.
Wow, that's a deep cut. Yeah.
Yes. So that, and then from there, so that's how I followed you. And then from there, I think I heard the Bad Egg. Is it called the Bad Egg? Now I feel like an idiot.
The very first cassette I did. Yeah.
Right.
Bedroom Sessions, Bad Egg. Yeah.
Yes. So then I got, and that was the daisy chain. And then like, I don't know, like every once in a while, it's like you like kind of disappear and then you reappear and you got something new and it sells out super fast. And I'm always like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, what's up with this? And you're very hard to get a hold of. But I'm glad you kept the Bandcamp presence. The reason why I wanted to have you on the show is because I just wanted to learn more about what your deal is, like what your music and just what you do. You have this, and we could get into it a little bit if you want to talk about it. Just the way that you recorded this music. I am fascinated by all this stuff. So
okay.
Yeah.
Let's dig into it. Let's do a deep dive. Let's go. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Now, first, I want you to answer my question, though. First, the question that I gave to you with some little homework is what we do here on Pizza Punk. Pizza Punk is the interview show. We have a lot of different things that we do on the Frumess channel. Pizza Punk is the interview section. And the question, the thesis topic, I guess, of the show is asking the eternal question that is super subjective in its answer. Like there's no right or wrong answer. Is pizza punk? And if it's punk, what makes it punk? And if it's not punk, what makes it not punk? Abby, what do you think?
I don't think pizza is punk. I think pizza is Italian. I think that I come from like a pretty, I don't want to say political because that's not true, but like I come from a place where to me, nothing that is commodifiable should really be punk, and food is only punk to me if it's like food not bombs or something. So like pizza would be punk if it was like being given for free, if it was doing something subversive. I don't think pizza in and of itself is doing something subversive, but I do enjoy the fact that like I know a lot of punks who are like, yeah, pizza punk, like they have pizza punk tattoos and stuff like that. So I think that's cute. I don't knock it, you know what I mean? But to me, I don't inherently find pizza punk. No.
You know what? That might be the most punk answer I've ever heard, because everybody else has said pizza is punk. And if, like, what is punk? Everybody, punk is not conforming, going against the grain, counterculture, doing something different. There's like a million different definitions and there's no definition. And to define punk is to like not be punk, right? Like, it's like punk is a really weird thing. It's like, it's kind of like, you know anything about the Tao?
Yeah, actually a Taoist.
Oh man. Okay. So a long time ago, all right, I'm going to get a little deep here for a second. A long time ago, I stopped believing in God. I go in waves. Sometimes I believe in God, sometimes I don't. But a friend of mine gave me this book. He's like, oh man, I got the perfect thing for you. He goes, here, take this book. And it was the Tao, but it was the Stephen Mitchell translation. I don't know if you're familiar with the Stephen Mitchell.
No, I haven't. Okay. I'll have to check it out. I love reading different translations.
I will send you a link for anybody who's not familiar. The Tao, it's a 4,000-year-old writing by this guy named Lao Tzu. It's from China. And what's really cool about the Tao is that, it's just a bunch of writings, it's a bunch of thoughts and whatever, right? But what's cool about the Tao is like it strips all human labels off of things that are far older than human understanding. Would that be a
Mm-hmm.
fair, Abby? Would that be
Yeah,
fair?
to name something is to take away its value in a sense. So yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
Kind of like pizza being punk.
Maybe that's why I feel that way because I read the Tao every single day.
Oh,
And like
wow.
I feel like yeah, I read well not the entire thing. Like I read like a chapter. I go like one to two, two to three, so on and so forth. And like right now I'm in the 30s, which is the like 29 through 33, I think is like about power. So like that's like the super to me the super inherently punk part of the Tao. They're talking about anti-authoritarianism. So yeah, to name something is to take a little piece of it, a little bit away from it, like, I guess.
No, I could totally appreciate that. I also like my favorite thing from the Tao always is what is a good what is a bad man, but no, what is a good man but a bad man's teacher? That's one of my favorite Tao. That was one of the first things. This is the thing. When you first read the Tao, I've read the Tao many, many times. I pick it up, I put it down. I had that book, I gave it to somebody else who didn't know anything about the Tao. I was like, here, I'm passing it on to you. I'll buy another copy, that sort of thing. um the thing about the Tao is like it's a thing that you can never fully grasp, or it's like you can grasp, or at least this is for me, I can grasp it for like a moment, and then all of a sudden I like lose it. I'm like, wait, what? Like
Yeah.
I understand it for a second and then I don't understand it. Like the idea of like it's actually like if you have a bowl, it's not the bowl that you're using, it's the space within the
Within the
bowl.
pool. Mm-hmm. Like the only reason why a room is good is the walls, but the fact that there is the space within the walls that creates the room. Yeah. I mean, I think the Tao is very much within its own self, like it talks about how things are not easily graspable and those that aren't what you think they are. And so I think within itself, yeah, like it explains itself pretty well and very mystical. Yeah. For sure. Wow, I did
So
not think we were
so
going to talk about the Tao Te Ching today.
no, that's the beauty of Pizza Punk. We just, it's just about, it's whatever. We just have a conversation. We're just having a
Hell
conversation.
yeah.
Yeah, man. I guess the Tao kind of is punk and it's kind of not punk all at the same time. But what's amazing though? Like here's what leveled me out. After I stopped believing in God, and I was terrified. I was like my first dose of nihilism. And I'm like, the world doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what the fuck? Like, what am I going to do? Like, all this stuff. It was the dumbest thing too. It was The Simpsons. I heard something on The Simpsons that made me stop believing in God. Swear to God. Some Homer Simpson said, "Could God heat a burrito so hot that he himself could not eat it?" And I was like, that simple logic like destroyed my conception of God at that time. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of boxes and I guess bowls, containers, and space. Like it's just like, thinking. You think inside of a box, and then suddenly you're confronted with this situation where you can't think inside the box anymore. You got to think outside of the box. And that's the beauty of the Tao. It like strips away all the stuff. It's like, hey man, don't worry about what God is or isn't. Just
Be here now, like hang
yeah,
out. Enjoy it while you have it. Yeah. Be a part of this, be a part of the river, be a part of the stream, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So, fucking Tao, man, the fucking Tao. All right, let me ask you about. I want to know. So again, going back to your Instagram, you don't have it anymore. You're not a very social media type person. It seems. I can
No.
appreciate that. In the world where everybody is, you've chosen to unplug. There was another video, or it was a reel or something that showed your process, and I was fascinated by it. It's like it was just like you're hanging out, you have a mic, and you're singing into the computer. Tell
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
about so tell me about how you started recording, what your recording process entails, this sort of thing, and then
If I may tack on one more thing on top of this laundry list of what I want you to tell me about before I shut up. Um, the Are you familiar with this genre called egg punk? Which I no, I swear, I just learned about it. Like I'm obsessed with
Yeah.
this band called Prison Affair right now. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
Prison Affair. Real
Hmm.
phenomenal, love Prison Affair. But I guess what I didn't understand was that all of this stuff, it kind of is like a offshoot of the garage scene that that person and other bands like are a part of, and it's like kind of this other thing that I'm like engaging with for the first time, really. So anyway, tell me about your recording process. Go ahead, talk. I'm gonna go ahead.
Okay, so I guess it kind of ties into you're asking me three separate questions, but I think a lot of it actually ties in together because you are asking, oddly enough, one of the best people to talk about egg punk and that the whole history. Egg punk is a Midwest genre that we only acknowledge here, and everyone else thinks it's ridiculous. But like, I think we've also been doing it for so long that we're also like ready to move on. And now like the rest of the world is like, egg punk, we're here, we're happy, we're ready to go. And we're all like, we've been doing this for like
Uh-oh, we've lost Abby Ooze. Earth to Abby. I need you to
okay.
rewind to when you were saying that egg punk is something that is a thing in the Midwest, but nobody else really acknowledges. Start from there and continue on. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
You're fine. You're fine. It's the nature of the internet. Um, yeah, it was something that kind of happened in the early like aughts, like 2013, I think was when that stuff really happened. And like, it kind of grew out from the Midwest. And now when I hear like Prison Affair or Snooper, I'm like, CCTV already did that. It's already did that. Lumpy and the Dumpers, like people are covering them now and they're like, they don't realize, and that genre of music, as cheesy as it feels to talk about for me, because it feels like I'm talking about my friends who are like, let's do something else. But like that, a lot of that stems from using a Tascam 414, not 414, a four track.
44.1K.
I'm not that much of a gearhead to be able to go that deep into it, but I have it. I can show it to you. You put a tape in and you can do four different tracks and you can bounce back and forth to make
A
more
four
than
track.
four.
A four
Yeah,
track.
a classic four track. And like someone is like, I'm alone in my bedroom. I want to write punk. And so like that's what we do. And I originally started on the four track. And I didn't know how to play drums, so I actually used like a drum sequencer to do drums and was just sitting around in my apartment, my house, and made the drums back, played the guitar, played the bass, did the vocals. And I like to layer my vocals, so I bounced everything and did like three vocal tracks. That's kind of where it came from. And yeah, it gives it a super lo-fi, very like bedroom tone. So because I love punk, I love power pop, I love hardcore, like it doesn't come off as bedroom pop. It comes off kind of more grunt, more hard, more loose, more raw, if you will. And I think that's kind of like the ethos of the egg punk subgenre, if you will. Yeah.
So does egg punk, but like, and that's a thing I noticed. It seems like all the egg punk stuff, the drum is, it's kind of like it's like a drum machine, or although I will say Prison Affair, I thought was a drum machine. And then I saw YouTube videos and no, they very much have a really, really fast mechanical drummer who just knows what he's doing. So yeah, I don't know.
I think that you start like a lot of us start off. I can't everybody. I know a couple other like start off with drum machines because you're just in your bedroom and maybe you don't have access to drums. Drums are also hard to record, especially on a four track. But then like if people find they like it, you got to play live. So you throw a band together and you get a drummer who can play whatever weird stuff you put on the sequencer. I know a couple people who do drums on their recordings and they speed it up so that it sounds that fast. I won't names, but yeah, that's classically, I think classically it's such a bedroom like solo endeavor that yeah, beat sequencing is kind of the way to go.
I really like that aesthetic. So I mean, essentially what you're doing is you are engineering, producing, writing, recording, and tracking guitar, drums, bass, and vocals all by yourself.
Correct.
Fucking amazing. Like amazing.
It's fun. It's different. It's lonely, but you have a lot of control, but sometimes having too much control can be overwhelming because I'm just like, I just wish someone else would make a choice, you know? But it's nice, especially being in bands for years and having like someone else be a band leader or having like a more of a democratic style. It's fun to just be like, to be so sure of yourself and be like, no, I know the right choices. And when it comes out good, you feel powerful. It's great. It's liberating.
No, we lost Abby again. Well, she's paused. I'm really glad that Abby was able to join us for the show. Again, we don't have enough women on the show, and Abby is incredibly talented, and her music is fantastic. You should all go listen to it. We lost Abby. Let's see if she pops back in.
Wow, I love learning all of this stuff. And you know what else I learned? I learned that you can get the best deal for die cut stickers on the internet from riotstickers.com. That's right. You can get 200 die cut stickers for $69 when you go to riotstickers.com/Frumess. That's FRUMESS. Link is down in the description. A die cut sticker conforms to all of the sleek contours of your design. That's right. It doesn't have to be a circle. It doesn't have to be a square. It can be whatever shape you want to be with a die cut sticker. All thanks to the computer guided scalpel that cuts the stickers to form. When is somebody going to make a band called Computer Guided Scalpel? You take advantage of this deal. The stickers, they're printed on vinyl. They got a UV coating to protect them from the sun. That keeps those colors from run. No, that's a terrible poem. Okay, Jeff, that's enough. Roll the 60-second Riot theme song. Let's go. Let's go.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too. Posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads. We can print on shirts. We can print on hats. We can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality. Quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support. Great customer service and so much more. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
Abby has returned, everybody. I knew that Abby would get my mental email and sign back in, and it's good time for a chicken nugget break too. That works, right? It's perfect. It's perfect. She froze again. No, Abby. Oh, she's back. Okay, she's back. Okay. No, you're talking about, okay, so how did you get started? Yeah, but how did you get started? How did you figure out how to do all this stuff?
Well, I went to school for music and I wanted to be an engineer. I was a sound engineer for a long time with live events, and I guess maybe that kind of helped me understand how to kind of tinker with a Tascam and feel the levels out, that kind of thing. I think I attribute a lot to that. As far as songwriting, I guess maybe because I've also been a musician my entire life, so I've just been, I got fed up being in bands with like all dudes all the time and not feeling like I had a say. So I was like I was in one band and they were like, oh, she can't write music. Like, she's not good. Like, she's not going to be a songwriter. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll prove you wrong. And so that's how I started this project now.
Yeah. So and then what did you come up with? Abby Ooze. Why Abby Ooze? Just you like the way it sounds, or like why Abby Ooze?
Wow, no one's ever asked me this like on camera, like documenting.
If it's a secret, you can keep it a secret. I like the name. I think it's a great name, but why Ooze? Yeah. Like, is that your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie? I mean,
yeah, Ivan Ooze is my uncle. Okay.
Okay.
No. Okay. So I'll admit, I'm I'm actually like a really big fan of like drag queen culture and like voguing and ballroom culture, and drag queens often have puns in their names, and they're usually
Of
fun.
course.
They're usually like a sexual innuendo, um, and it's funny because like I feel like I thought people would get it. I thought people would be like it'd be very obvious when I did it. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be so everyone's gonna fucking know, and like apparently not. Like everyone's always asking me, and if you say like I really love Young Frankenstein where they're like Abby normal, Abby normal, like, and it's like because it's an
Right.
abnormal brain,
Right.
and so I was thinking along those lines. And if you say Abby Ooze, it sounds like abuse. And all my songs are actually like about like traumatic situations that have happened in my life. And so I thought that would be a very fitting title for my solo project.
Right. I get, so for Bad Egg, I have a band recommendation for you, by the way. First of all, I too, okay, so I don't know too much about drag queen culture apart from I really love Birdcage is a masterpiece.
So good.
So is
Yes.
Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything
Oh.
for Julie Newmar, but that's a deeper cut. But really, John Waters and his muse Divine. Divine was Divine. And the basis, those who don't know, the basis for Ursula from The Little Mermaid was
based on.
Yeah, based on Divine.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. to Divine. No, that's great. I like that. That totally works. Abby Ooze. I get it. I get it a lot more than I got it previously. I mean, that's a part of the, like, listen, it's like you have this mystique to you, and it's like I'm asking you to deconstruct it. So, I could also appreciate wanting it to, some people like, they try to they create a thing, they create a veil. It's that work that's important too. But yeah, I could definitely see that in your song, at least on the bad. I don't really think I've dived too deep into the subject matter of your other work, but on the Bad Egg EP, you could see that like into, and I don't want to for sure. And yeah, just all like, the other thing that's great too about all of your releases thus far, they're really fucking short. Like,
short and sweet. That's how I like it,
dude. Let me just say, like, this is like, I wish more musicians understood the concept of brevity in their work. Like, there are some that do, and you do it so well. Like 10 minutes, I can listen to Bad Egg like 6 times in 10 minutes.
Yeah, get in, get out, say your message, and go. Like, you don't gotta beat people over the head with it,
Right. Right. I do, however, I really think that version of Brat that you did, you should have archived it, because that could have been its own release. It's so great that you just did this one rough take on guitar, like straight up. It's a song that really holds well. Like, it doesn't need any other instrumentation. That's also, I think that's a testament to a really good song, is when you don't need a lot, when it's just like the melody and the basic meat and potatoes, and it just sort of works on its own. And, so I think with that element and the fact that you just do really short songs, really short releases, it makes your stuff really like digestible in a great way. So
yeah, I'm trying to be fibrous, I'm trying to get in there. For sure.
Dude, listen, fiber is super important in life, man. Like, like you gotta gravitate towards fiber. You'll live a happier life in so many ways, man. Like, it's just important. It's really, really important. So, all right. So you're like, I know how to do all this stuff. I'm going to do my own persona. I want to be Abby Ooze. And then there's this other thing, again, like what I always do when I find a band that I really like is like, I search out, seek stuff out on YouTube and whatnot. And so from what I've seen from YouTube, that you like, whatever, people that upload and stuff, you do this other thing that I am fascinated by. you got a suitcase, or at least you did. I don't know I don't know if you're still doing the suitcase. You had a suitcase with a computer in it, and you had your backing tracks, and it's like an endurance trial. Like you set it up because you have a very theatrical stage kind of presence. You set it up. There's like one of your sets is live on YouTube, and I can hear you catching your breath in between the songs because it's like you're being very like it's like an endurance trial. You're being very active, you're doing your thing, but at the same time you got to keep up with the track because I did not explain that the band is the fucking computer in the suitcase. Yeah, you got a suitcase band.
Yeah, I've moved now to a live band because I felt like when you're live, you're missing like the bass feeling, but I do miss that. And even people who saw me live didn't realize like what I would do is I would play every single instrument every single day as a practice because I was my own band. So like I had to stay up to do it. I had to stay up to, snuff. That also meant that every single time that you saw me live, it was a brand new track. It wasn't like I recorded those once. Those were basically like live tracks that I recorded maybe like a couple hours before the gig. And I practiced every single day because, it was an endurance test. I didn't want to talk on stage. I just wanted to like zip through it. Just like I said, in and out, be in, be out, be done. And it was a vibe. I really miss performing that way. I wish that I could find a happy medium of sound and endurance like I did that. Because like now that my band, they'll get winded and they're like, stop, we got to tune, we got to chill. And I'm like, guys, we gotta keep going before someone goes and gets for a cigarette break.
So I'm not a musician, but I'm a filmmaker, right? And like I always say to myself, I wish I had 5 of me, not in an egotistical way. It would just be the easiest way to get stuff done. Because if you have 5 Abbies, they're all on the same wavelength, right? Like we're all on our same wavelength. There's no shorthand necessary. You know what to do. You know what to do. Know what to do. It's like, I'm going to be a suitcase band, but I'm still doing all of the work. I'm still playing all of the instruments and then putting them in this suitcase.
Well, I didn't want people to feel like I was being lazy. I wanted, not that it mattered because people didn't even know that's what I was doing, but like I myself am such a workhorse. I like love to make sure that I'm not just like, whatever, I'll just throw it together. Like I was like, it was like, I love fitness. So I work out. But so like, I felt like it was that way. It was like a practice. Like I recorded the drums, I recorded the bass, I played the guitar. And then because I like to talk vocally, since I went to school for vocals, I wanted to make sure like I was up to snuff whenever I was ready for a show by practicing too. And like making sure I had the breath control and all that super nerdy music stuff. And I think I felt like it showed live, like clearly you dig it. So I think it paid off. It was a gamble worth paying that paid off very well.
I think now that I understand like what more about it, behind like the behind the scenes of it conceptually, it's like it's like almost like a conceptual piece of being a solo band. Like, hey, I may be playing to backing tracks, but I'm still performing in the only way that I can, so that I think I appreciate it even more. But man, I don't know. I just found it interesting that like I was watching you do this on YouTube. I'm going, that does count. Like that's a live performance. You don't, if you can't find a band, you can still be a band. You just do it like that. And I'm like, I don't know. It just changed my understanding of that sort of stuff to an extent. I don't know. After the Egg EP, you kind of disappear for a little bit. What's your deal? Like, do you go underground, or are you always writing music, or you come back and it's like every time you come back with a new release, and a release that's on a 7-inch, by the way, they're like, oh, sold out. It's gone. You can't get it. Too exclusive.
Well, I think a lot of that comes from the fact that, monetarily, like the people who put out my stuff are very, very small labels. I didn't really have money when I put out I just put out the bedroom sessions on MP3, And my favorite label that I've ever worked with, A Glass on Records, is a Filipino punk label. It's the only Filipino punk label in the country. They found out that I was doing my thing, that I'm Filipino, and they wanted to help me. So they did a very small run of the bedroom sessions. And then they also did a small run of the EP because they got a grant in San Francisco, like some kind of art grant that they could do this and help other Filipino punks. So that's how that came about. But with the kind of money that it takes to put out these things, it's such a small release, and I'm so grateful that they do sell out, because I hear the number. I want to say the R.I.P. EP was maybe 150. No, maybe it was 200, a very small amount. And so but when I heard it, I was like, I'm going to sit on this forever. Like I felt like that. And then it sold out here. It sold out in the Philippines. It sold out with my personal collection. So I'm very grateful that people like it and people dig it, because yeah, it's a lot of work.
My best friend, one of my best friends, is Filipino, and I became quite accustomed to some of the food, Filipino food, particularly the porridge, the purple yam porridge. I think they make a bunch of varieties of it. I don't remember the name, but it's really good.
Ube is the best flavor on the planet. I love ube.
The best. Yes. So it is.
Well, tell your
sorry, go ahead.
Tell your friend. No, tell your friend mabuhay for me. Then in that case, of course, yeah. I mean, Filipino food is so flavorful. It's so good. That's
Jollibee. Spaghetti.
Yes. Yeah.
Spaghetti fried chicken. I mean, what a combination.
I mean, spaghetti is a Filipino dish that's from colonialism, and it's different than what people would traditionally think of as spaghetti, because it's made with like banana sauce instead of tomato sauce. Because we in the Philippines have a ketchup that is made out of banana
ketchup.
Yes.
We have it at our condiment. Yep, we have it at our local H Mart. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's so good.
No, that's cool. That porridge I really like that porridge too. It's great. Ubi in general, you know what they make? They make these crackers. They got chocolate in the middle and they're ubi flavored. They're like called pillows. They do the the
actual non-chocolate ones. I like the chocolate ones too, but the
straight
ube pillows.
Yeah.
So good.
Totally agree. 100%. 100%. Those are fantastic. So all right. So tell me about what is your creative process in the set? Like, hey, what is your creative process? No, what happens? Do you get struck by the muse and you're just like, okay, I'm going to record a new batch of songs? Do you always have songs floating around in your head? Like, how does it work for you typically?
It's changed over the years. When Abby Ooze, when I was first coming up to terms with the fact that I was going to be solo, I just had these songs in my head because I was feeling so emotionally vulnerable at the time. And I just felt like I had to, most of the time it's being able to give language to feelings that I don't feel like I can just be direct with. I'm a very direct person in most of my communication, but when it comes to these deep-seated emotions, I don't feel like I can talk about them. And these are ways that I can be cheeky about it and maybe not be so straightforward, or do it in such a way that I can be straightforward and maybe people just don't hear the lyrics or something, My process tends to just be someone did something fucked up to me, I'm sad about it, or someone broke my heart. And I've written a couple of, political songs as well, because I'm a pretty political person in general, but I've never been able to give, I can't just be like, fuck the government. It's not very easy for me to be that straightforward musically. I like the poster of lyrics. And as the years have gone, I've kind of feel like I need to sit down and hold the guitar. It's not like I'm just standing at work and write lyrics like I used to. It's kind of like I need to force myself to sit down and think about things. I think because, and to kind of answer the question that I don't think I answered earlier, a lot of times it comes randomly, and I've thought many times that I was going to quit, I fall in love with someone and it's all working out and it's great, or the world doesn't feel like it's falling to shit as much. Like I'm in my manic phase and I feel great. And so I go, oh, I'm not gonna write anymore. R.I.P. Like this is gonna be the last thing I ever do. And then someone cheats on me or does something mean to me, and I'm like, okay, well, you're just giving me more material. Unfortunately, I've said this to someone, and they said in response that I'm the punk Taylor Swift, and I don't like that.
What you're describing is pathos. You experience pathos, and then you express the pathos through a different medium in order to encapsulate emotion. That's cool. That was what I emailed you. The last thing you released is part of it's in my playlist, the whole thing, because it's so friggin' short. I could listen to it every time. So the last screenplay I wrote, that was like the soundtrack to that. And one of the songs is Untitled. And so that's why I emailed you about that, because I was trying to make out what you're saying. I kind of got like, what? Oh, what? But it's very interesting. It's very interesting. It's weird because like lyrics are like poetry, but they're also on another level because there's, as you mentioned, emotion. It's like there's a layer of emotion that gets trapped inside of the words that are being spoken, because emotion is this weird. And okay, I'm going to go really down the rabbit hole for a minute. So please, conceptually, when you think about like songs and where they might come from, like obviously they come from you, you're the person who's thinking them, but like maybe they come from somewhere else, like that's loftier, and it like you're like an antenna for it and it comes down into your head. And the thing is, I feel like it's not just like any one element. There's more to it. There's layers to it. And within those layers are emotion. And then the emotion enhances the lyrics that are being sang or what's not being said, and I don't know if any of that made sense, but it makes sense to me. But yeah, no,
I mean, yeah, you're pulling, like, to talk about the Tao in relation to music. I feel like you're pulling, like, the Tao is everything. It's all things. It's everything and it's nothing. And to tap into it, to like really, to tune in, if you will, to the frequency of the Tao, you have to be vulnerable to the emotions that you feel and to the environment around you. And when you're writing a song, when you're in that zone, if you will, I feel like that's into yourself and into the greater Tao. And when a song hits and a song is like, when you're in that moment where you're like, oh man, this is going great, the lyrics are coming out, the chords are playing right, like that's really tapping into something greater than yourself. Even if you don't believe in something greater than yourself, there's a life force within us all, within everything. And I think there's a way to tap into that when you give into the moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that works. That works. I mean, I like that we could talk about music or art and then go out into the ether for a few minutes. Then we come back and continue along the line. Right now you're playing again with a live band. What is what are you currently up to right now? Like you're just playing shows, doing your thing, living life? Like what's the deal?
A lot and also nothing. I'm working on a full length it's going to be a collection of everything I've done.
Okay.
I need to re-record them because I have a drummer in mind that I want to re-record everything with. I am playing shows with this band. I get a lot of emails from people throughout the country asking me to play their hometown. It's usually small towns, and someone like in New York being like, come to New York, which is fine. Someone says, come to Arkansas. I'm like, okay, but like what city? What's the closest place? Who's a connection? Like, let me know. Help me help you. Help me. And so I do want to. I think my big goal is when the LP, if it ever does come out, I want to do like at least like a US tour for all the people that have supported me all this time. I don't care if it's like a 50 crowd people. If like the one guy in that one town who's been listening to me since the beginning wants to see my band, I will go to his hometown and I will play. because like that's all that matters to me is like the people that email me and support me and reach out to me. I think that that's like we connected. Like I don't know you and you don't know me, but my music has touched you in some way, that you buy everything that I put out and you like email me. Like I love that. Like I'll play to an audience of one if it means like fulfilling something between the two of us. Like I love it. Yeah.
I have to say, it is very impressive that like for a person who is not like on all like the social media things, this, that, and the other, like people do write about you. Like I've seen it. People are like reviewing your music. So for someone who is not like actively like active in like the internet, like you are making an impact, which is cool. I think it's cool. So when people ask you, it's like, hey, come come out to Alabama or whatever. That's not, it's like you gotta get all the ducks in a row first before you go. It's not easy. Not easy.
Well, that's why I do appreciate that people reach out, because then it lets me know how to maybe route. You know, I've done a lot of tours. I've not with, you know, I've done a lot of it. And like when they do reach out, it lets me go, okay, it's a place on the map that I can like connect this major city with this major city this way. And so I really appreciate that people feel like motivated and inspired enough to send me that email. But yeah, you're right. It's like you gotta be really ready for that tour. For that tour. Yeah.
What do you like about touring, and what do you not like about touring?
I love, you know, seeing the opening bands. I love seeing the glimpse of a new city and meeting new people. I love the 2 seconds I get to pick a new place to eat. I think that when you're in a band that you have friends with, like it's an amazing experience that builds your relationship with those people that you'll never forget. I think that it's just something that it should almost be like a coming of age thing. I think that every person who's a musician should go on tour once when they're young with their best friends. It's just, there's nothing like when I talk to people who've never toured and aren't musicians and aren't punks, they like think it's this crazy thing to like go tour. No, it's just literally you and 4 homies in like a stinky van for 2 weeks. Like it's, you know, and it's like, you know, I have friends of those people that I've made memories with those people. What I don't like about touring, the random places I'm sleeping, the random people who, I'll be frank, I look the way I do, I act the way I do, I'm perceived a certain way. And so if we're in the middle of nowhere, there's been a couple times where I'm like, guys, I'm not getting out of the car. There's like a dude out there who looks like he wants to just beat us all up and, you know, whatever. I've had some horror stories of like places we've stayed where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. And this drunk guy high on meth or whatever is like, I'll come with you. And I'm like, I don't know you. Follows me around the house wherever I go to sleep. You know, like the unsafe nature of touring isn't fun. I think like,
do you like, so what do you do? Okay. Like that's really scary, but like, what do you do? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What do you do in a situation? Like, I hate to say this, but do you have any kind of plan B sort of like, do you have like protection of some kind? Like, what do you do? Do you have like a baseball bat or like something? Like, what do you do, man? That's freaky. If you have a person that's following you, it's not a zombie movie, man. Like they're coming after you. That's harrowing stuff.
I mean, I'm known for carrying a knife around. I have a knife on me at all times. Of course, I don't at the moment because I'm in my own home. I feel safe, but like I have a knife on me at all times, just because it's practical, and it's also just like I make it very clear that I have it, and I let people know like don't fuck with me. I'm not afraid to stab you. Like it's not gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt you more. That's gonna hurt me.
It's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt me. Holy hell!
You know, I think I've also culminated a good group of people in my life where like, you know, back then I was really young, and like the guys in the band, they were like, "Oh, you're just being a diva because you're the lead singer and you just want to sleep somewhere comfortable." Like, you know, and like I'm not saying anything against them, but now I've got more friends in my life who are like, just look at me if you're in an unsafe situation,
right?
Like, they know, and like we look out for each
shot,
other.
right? Is that, you know what the angel shot is?
Angel, yeah, asking for the angel shot at the bar. Like my friends have kind of picked up on that, and it's just kind of crazy how often it happens, especially like you're going in the middle of nowhere. They think that these drunk dudes can think they can get away with whatever. And I think there's a lot that can be there's a lot to be desired as far as like touring and being safe in a lot of punk spaces because of that.
I mean, I think also too, I mean, it's your POV might be a little bit different than other people in the band, right?
Oh
like,
yeah. Like these,
so
I'm usually in a band with people who are, super drunk, doing cocaine, and they're like busy partying and trying to get chicks of their own. And I'm like, okay, well, this guy like definitely wants to like touch me. Like, let's fucking go, guys. Like, Jesus. I have to
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jeff. So I've decided to make a Patreon. What is Patreon? I don't know how to define a Patreon. Let me look it up. Patreon is a membership platform that makes it very easy for creators to get paid for the things that they're already creating. I want to do it full time. I want this to be my full-time job. In my efforts to make that happen, I've set up this platform. Is it going to work? Is it going to be successful? I don't know, but I would rather try and crash and burn than not try at all. The goal is to create enough passive revenue so that I can continue to do this full-time, uninterrupted. Why? Because I love to do this. I love creating content. I love making videos. I love shooting films. I love doing podcasts. In case you couldn't tell, I love to talk and I never shut the fuck up. So right now I've kept the Patreon incredibly simple. There's 2 tiers, and that may change in the future. The Murdergram is a simple way to extend support for all of the hours and hours of free content on the channel for nothing more than $1. 38 cents goes to Patreon. What's $1.38, eh? It's less than a cup of coffee, but it's a great way that you can show support for very little effort. When you divide that $1.38 by the hours and hours and hours of time spent listening to this endless drivel of content, the dollar cost average works out. Next up is the YouTube casualty for $6.66. The YouTube casualty is loaded to the gills. Enjoy the archive ad-free, as well as ad-free early access to special docu-style podcast videos, music reaction commentaries, and the like, a month before they drop on YouTube, loaded with ads, I might add. You're also going to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes content that is not available on YouTube or anywhere else. So you get to peek behind the veil. And believe me, there's a couple of choice pieces. Most of all, more than anything, whether you join the Patreon or not, I just want to thank each and every one of you that comes to the channel, that watches all the shows, that leaves comments, that participates, that subscribes. That's really the most important thing. This is just trying to find a way to earn a living as an artist. And with that, thank you for my TED Talk. Join the Patreon, because we need you!
66 cents.
Jesus.
Thing. But like it comes with the territory of like doing the fun stuff too. Like it's a give or take. It's a pro and a con.
Sure. It's funny. I was just thinking about all the hassles of touring, but like when you throw that element into it, it makes it adds a whole other level of chaos that maybe.
Right. Well, sorry, I'll be more. I'll throw some like more fun cons in there for you.
No.
I've definitely gone on a tour where everyone else in the band was like, none of us should shower. Let's see how stinky we can get, that kind of thing. And like I shower every day. I like do yoga on tour. Like I bring my yoga mat with me. So I'm like, guys, like you go to places where you like peel back the shower and there's maybe pizza boxes in there. Clearly, no one in the house is showering.
Oh my Lord!
Like those things are. Oop, my connection is unstable.
That's all right. I've decided that I'm going to just have to like sit down and stitch this episode together. It will be fine. I've done this before. You might there'll be certain moments when this does, because this will stream on YouTube where you'll be like, I am Abby Ooze and this is how I act and talk, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Band recommendation for you that you might enjoy. They're kind of, I don't know how you feel about like Devo or Blondie or
I'm from the Midwest. How dare you ask me if I like Devo? Devo is God. Yes.
All right, good. So there's this band called Zombina and the Skeletones, and they are they're kind of like horror punk, which is kind of like the circle of people that I once congregated in, but they've also been on Pizza Punk actually as well, and they're from Liverpool, England, and they have been just a favorite for a really long time. They're one of those bands that they're always doing stuff over in Europe. They've never managed to make it to America yet. I hope someday. But they're fantastic, and you should really check out their music. Zombina and the Skeletons. I mean, for anybody who's listening to this, Zombina and the Skeletons. I just did my top 10 punk albums that I really enjoy on the channel, and for the next one, I'm going to include that. Do you have 10? Give me your 10 albums. Give me 10 punk albums that you really, really love in rapid succession, or you don't have to be 10. It could be 5. It could be 3, whatever you feel comfortable with. All right. This was a lot. This was a lot, Jeff. Sorry. That was too much. You just give me 5 albums that you really like.
I love that you asked me about the Pizza Punk in the email, but didn't ask me this very lofty question.
This was spontaneous, Abby. This was spontaneous. I just, because I was just thinking about that, and I was like, oh, that might be something interesting to ask you. So
okay, well, I'm not great with names, faces, and lyrics outside of like memorizing my own, so I will give generalizations.
That's okay.
I will give 2 specifics just because I do know them. I would say that This Is Boston, Not LA is one of the most important hardcore compilations ever created. Hands down, Jerry's Kids, Decadence, Gangrene are on there. Perfect. Love it. Wonderful. Just because I have to say the Faith Void Split. Always got to go with the Faith Void Split. As far as like, let me think. The Nerves, they have that one record. It has Give Me One Way Ticket on it. That's such an important power pop record. The Protex one with the phone on it. I'm so bad at album names. That's so important.
You're dropping. I'll be honest with you. I've never heard of the Nerves before. I'm going to go check them out.
They're so good. They did the original. They did the original song that Blondie does. Don't leave me hanging on the telephone.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
And like everyone thinks it's Blondie, but it's actually the Nerves.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, I will check them out. I will check that out. That's cool. So listen, you're dropping knowledge on me. I'm not familiar with those bands.
I'm a huge music nerd. So
okay. Oh, I know Gangrene. I know. I obviously know who Gangrene is, but like, who else did you just name? There were a couple other ones.
Jerry's Kids, SSD.
Oh, I know Jerry's. Yeah, those I know.
Decadent.
That's all the Boston. One-hit wonder on there. Right.
The Boston crew.
Those are Boston,
I love that.
Boston hardcore bands. Yeah.
And then I will say, just to throw a loop in the whole thing, I'll name a more modern that's now defunct. DLIMC, anything that the singles are amazing. That's some egg punk for you.
Okay. Yes.
And then
will you write that name down? Or I'll ask you after. You gotta. I want that name.
Email you.
I'll
email you a whole egg punk thing.
Please. I have a playlist. I have a playlist that somebody made on Spotify, but like that's it. That's all I got. There's Prison Affair.
So I'll say, like, you can't really go to Spotify for egg punk, in my opinion, because it lives on YouTube. YouTube is like where punk really honestly lives, because you don't have to go through all the copyright material problems. And half the time what's on YouTube is like someone found a cassette and they uploaded it, and it's not like the artists themselves up. Like, I don't upload my music to Spotify, to YouTube.
This is true. Like, I can attest to what you're saying, because every time I've listened to the Bad Egg EP, it's got to be on YouTube.
It's Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy. Jimmy is now anti. He is like the taste maker of early egg punk. So if you want to deep dive, just go onto that channel. He's great.
Okay, yeah. I will do that.
Shout out to you, Jimmy. Hey,
Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. Yeah, you know what? Again, I keep talking about Prison Affair, but like the thing that I just love about what they're doing is there's some songs where they're not even like, some of it's in Spanish. I can make that out. It's a lot of like, I don't even want to call it. It's almost like, the way that like death metal is all about like, It's like the reverse of that. It's kind of like doing this like
It's
fuzz.
like really like here. It's
Yeah.
like fuzzy. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
love that. I love everything about that aesthetic. But the thing that Prison Affair is doing is they're just some of the it's like they're like, we're not even gonna have lyrics. We're just gonna go, ugh, ugh, ugh. And I'm like, what is that? What are you saying? Why that? What made you write that? It's awesome.
I mean, okay, so again, I'm kind of being a little persnickety here, but to me, there's that meme of like, Mom, I want this, and Mom says we have it at home, and
Right,
at home
and-
it's something else.
Mhm.
For me, I love listening to Prison Affair. I think it's great, but that is my mom. We like what Mom thinks we have at home of the Coneheads.
Okay, so
Like,
Coneheads is who I need to check out.
you need to check out the Coneheads. It's
Mhm.
a seminal punk band from Northwest Indiana in around 2013. I think that changed the landscape of punk in a way that like
That's them.
that's them. Yes, that's
All right.
them. And then I'm assuming because you know that, you also probably know Snooper as well. That's like a big band that's happening
No,
right
you
now.
mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
That is something that is new to me. Thank you. I will be checking that out as well. Snooper.
Well, I'll say, yeah, like, so they are fronted by this person who's like really good at animation. But again, what we have at home versus like CCTV, which is another Northwest Indiana band that it's just, if you listen to them side by side, you're like, wow, this is just like what that was. And they just broke up, and then this other person just stole their sound. And I mean, I say steal, so I hope I don't get in trouble I hope that Super doesn't come after me and Prison Affair doesn't come after me, because I respect them, but it's just one of those things like
This has all those bands. Wait, yeah, the egg. That's how I discovered. So that's how it's funny. I think you're on here too, actually, maybe, but that's how or maybe I was listening to your thing and that's how I found this. But what was funny was like, oh, this thing has a name. It's Egg Punk. I was like, okay, Egg Punk. Egg Punk. I'm down. I have to ask Abby when she comes on the show. I'll ask her more, learn more about what Egg Punk is. And now you've explained it. So this has here's CCTV, Lithics, Finale, The Spits, of course. Bring is a great song by The Spits. I don't know if you're familiar with The Spits.
Everyone loves The Spits. You can't.
That's a good song. I mean, now what's interesting is that kind of like spreads into the West Coast side of things, and like the Goner Records side of things, and like also the very disgraced side of things, and just like all that stuff, just all that West Coast stuff that, I don't know, just sort of all is kind of interlinked in some way, shape, or form. It's kind of like a new wave garage sort of thing, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting.
Let me ask you this. You're aware of Egg Punk, but are you aware of what this stems from? The term Egg Punk comes from a really old meme. I want to say like 2015, maybe even as far back as 2013. It's a line.
You're making me feel so old when you say 2015. When you're like 20, the year
it's
of our
10
Lord.
years ago.
It is. No, you're right. You're right. I'm like, because I'm like, fuck, where does the time go, man? Sorry, go ahead.
If you're unaware, if you only know Egg Punk, that's only half the equation.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a graph of all these bands on a line of if it's this versus that. The other side of the graph is called chain punk. And it doesn't get as much. It doesn't get as much recognition, because it's just like, to most people, it's just straightforward punk. It's just like hardcore punk. So on the other side of that is like Gag and what's that really crazy? Like Hank When the Hammerheads falls in like there, like a lot of the New York bands. Look up Chain versus Egg.
I'm in New York, by the way. I've never heard of any of these bands. Not that just because I'm in New York doesn't mean that I would have never heard of them, but I don't know.
So there's this great fest that happened, again, almost 10 years ago, called New York's All Right. Based on, and like a lot of the bands that played that, to me, are along the like chain punk aesthetic. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's kind of in dichotomy of that, because Chain is this like hard, like we're punk. We wear chains and leather and we're tough and we we huff glue, you know, and like egg punk is more this like happy, like we're just weirdos that listen to like Suburban Lawns and like to bop around. Like that's kind of where that kind of comes from. So it's just kind of giving a name to this odd thing in punk where like there's this rough edge where you have to be tough and you have to ride motorcycles and wear
it's
leather.
Like new wave and punk rock in the 80s, right? Like new wave, even though new wave kind of doesn't mean, you know, a lot of those bands, a lot of new wave bands were actually just punk bands. And then, you know, record labels were like, let's repackage this because the name punk, Sid Vicious, look what he did. We have to change the name. You know, and
exactly.
Then, that's how you wind up with. But a lot of that stuff is really great. It just doesn't fit because, you know, the thing too, again, to sort of circulify our conversation, the idea of like what is punk music is a weird notion in and of itself because, like, you know, initially the foundings of this stuff, none of the bands sounded alike. It was a scene.
Yeah,
it was a scene. It was a scene. It was a counterculture scene on the Lower East Side where the rent was cheap and artists could make enough money for rent playing at a gig at Max's Kansas City, right? And then eventually you had like bands like the Dead Boys, that sound, the Ramones, obviously, and you had that, and then you had like Talking Heads, which sounds nothing like the Dead Boys. You had Blondie, which sounds nothing like any of those. Television. I mean, you don't think of Television as punk, but they were the first band to play CBGBs. They were the first ones. They were like, hey, can we play at CBGBs?
And their music is beautiful, and there's not it's not distorted. It's well thought out. It's well written. Right. It's like almost completely opposite of what you think of like the Ramones, you know? Yeah, right. Completely opposite.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that punk is supposed to be, again, subversive. It's supposed to be individualistic and your own independent thing. And then we now live in an age where it's like, oh, it's not distorted. It's not just power chords. It's not just like, I can't slam back side to side to this. It's not punk. And it's like, nah, dude, like, I listen to the Shirts, man. Like, that's
the Shirts.
That's where I'm at. Like, my stuff is pretty. My shit can be pretty and punk. Like, you know, it's like people forget. People lose sight of that for sure.
Wow, you threw a deep one with the Shirts, man. Holy
They're my
crap.
favorite CBGB band. They're so good.
They were indeed. And you know who opened for them at their very first or second show, which wasn't even billed as them. It was the Misfits opened for the Shirts.
That's such a weird show.
But even weirder still, I'm like, I like to think of myself as like a armchair historian of these certain bands and music. That's what we do. That's like the thing I do on the channel that people actually watch or like. But what's funny is that band, they didn't even have a guitar then. It was just piano, bass, and drums. Huh. Right? So imagine that opening for the Shirts, but it's Glenn Danzig singing. Weird. Really, really weird. At 2 a.m.
bizarre.
At CBGB's.
So
it's weird. It's weird. You know, and that's the other thing too about music, and the thing that that I love about music and I think is so interesting about music. And I'm kind of curious to know when you are recording or when you are writing stuff, are you thinking about anything? Like, I really love this notion. This is in filmmaking. This idea of having like taste. And what I mean by taste, like just things that you aesthetically find pretty or that you like or that appeal to you in some way. And then you have ability, what I can do with my resources, what the skill level that I'm at, my proficiency. And it's like, and I feel this is with any artist, it's always trying to bring the two together, to bridge them together. What is my taste and aesthetic that I like? And what is my ability and how I can shoot my own aesthetic and taste in through my ability. And what ends up happening is, you know, much like the chemical process of cooking food, right? Like all cooking food is chemical processes. It's the same thing with music. It goes through you and then it comes out and it's this other thing that wasn't what it was before. what is the thing that you like, that you're chasing, or that you try to incorporate into your work that gets chewed up and spits out as Abby Ooze? Did that question make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I think as far as just music, not talking about like say the live performance aspect, I mean, I love power pop and I love modern lowercase hardcore. I think that there is something so sexy about being like, I can play this garage rock shit and I can sing about like love in a tone that sounds like I could possibly also stab you. Like that like early garage rock freak beat shit is like so good. And that, that evolved into like proto punk and that like that early stuff where it wasn't just like how tough can I be, but like I'm tough, but like I'm also singing about like how I'm hung up on a girl, like undertones, like teenage dream kind of shit,
Love the undertones. Yes.
Yeah,
teenage,
like that.
Yeah, teenage kicks.
Not teenage dream. Teenage kicks. I said teenage dream, like a Katy Perry song.
That's
Oops.
okay. That's no, totally cool. Hey, you just brought up the undertones. That's awesome. Okay.
I mean,
so
that's classic
great.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Teenage
like
kicks.
whenever I'm writing, I'm thinking like, how can I tap into that with giving it also like a modern day edge as far as like, again, like I love hardcore. My dream is to play like a hardcore show and me be on the bill as this like power pop sensation, like that's what I want. I want to be like yeah, like the Dead Boys were great and like that whole like vibe. Like I love that like I'm tough and snotty, but like the songs are
Snotty.
like about like that snotty nature. I love that. And the thing is, like I said, I went to school for vocals. I'm a classically trained vocalist. I it's not, you can't hear it as much as it used to, but so like I know that I have that range to do things that
I can hear that. Listen, in the what is it, the Frostdale? Sorry, what is it?
Forestdale. Yeah, Forestdale. Yeah.
I can hear that range absolutely, especially on even though you're not like going up high on Russian bombs, you can hear that. I think like just the way, like your the cadence of your voice, you can hear it. Sorry, continue. Go ahead. Continue with what you're saying.
Yeah, but I just like, I know that a lot of my male contemporaries who have never gone to vocal school can't do that stuff. And like, there's something about that early garage rock proto punk stuff where it's like, dude, if those guys could have actually had pipes, like some of that music could have been like radio friendly hits, not radio friendly, but like radio hits because they were so catchy and so good. But instead they're just like, I guess like a good example maybe would be like, to me, Crime is so catchy, but like that guy just is like, and so it's like that snot, like I like to try to blend that snotty with that vocal ability that I have. And I think I think it's fun. Like I like pushing myself to be able to sing melodies that I have to practice. I've written a couple of songs where I maybe felt a little lazy, and when I'm live, I'm like, oh man, I could have maybe like put this up a different key to a higher register so I could have that push, that emotional tension. And as far as like my live stuff, like I said, I just want to, it's when you're alone on stage, it's different now that I have a band, but when you're alone on stage, you're the only thing that's keeping attention. So I can't just stand there. I felt like I had to be doing something, moving. I had costume changes. I had props. I was like going in the crowd. I was doing a lot of
the bat
interaction. The bat. Yeah. That stuff was just like out of me being like, I can't just be in a band. Like I have to be an entertainer. I have to keep crowd attention. And it was fun because it made me think outside the box versus like when you're just the lead singer of a band, you can just stand there and people are like, oh, they're so mysterious. But dude, if you're just standing there and there's no one behind you, you just look boring. Like I love, I want to see more bands try to push their live performances more. I think that would be something that we need to work on as a scene,
I've seen video of you like, throwing 150%. As I said, I use the word endurance trial. I mean, really, truly. And again, you said you do yoga. Yoga is a wonderful, I mean, everybody should do yoga in general because it's just really good for your body. Like stretching will make you live longer. Like it just will. Oh, yeah. It's all the, I stopped doing yoga. I was doing yoga for a little bit. I have a scoliosis. And I got to tell you, every time I lie down flat on my back, I was in agonizing pain. And then after doing yoga for about 18 months, I have not had that issue since. And the problem with yoga is you need to have consistency. You need to do it every day, and you need to have consistency. And it is really, really hard to sometimes show up and do that. And when you fall out of it, it's hard to get back in. But the point being, sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, yeah, it's a practice just like anything else. And if it's like, it's literally use it or lose it. You know, I think that's with a lot of things. Like, I think same thing with reason why I played guitar and bass every day when I was a solo, like truly a solo act. Like, I was afraid if I didn't use it, I would lose it. Like, that's true. And like, same thing with the endurance. Like, I run, I power lift, I do yoga. And I do that because like, I don't like, I take from the Wendy O. Williams camp.
Yeah,
like
plasmatics.
She would she's been
Rest
in interviews
in
saying, yeah, rest in peace. She didn't eat sugar. She didn't eat anything unhealthy. She was a vegetarian. And she would, when she wasn't on tour, she rode a stationary bike for an hour a day so that she felt like it was running downhill on stage live. And like, I am. And she looked great. She was the live performer. She just did it all. And like, I was like,
those
damn.
cars pay.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to like have that kind of endurance live, you know, and I want to be able to like live past the age that I think I might actually be older than when she died. But like, I want to be able to do that into like my old age. You know, I don't want to just flame out.
No, yoga will help that. My mom is a yoga practitioner, and she's been doing yoga she's 72 and she's been doing yoga for about 40 years. And her yoga, you know, it's interesting actually about her yoga. And I can't do yoga with my mom. I've tried. Love you, Mom, but I can't do yoga with her because it's like, it's just, but it's funny because like all of my movements, it's very like, okay, now I'm going from this into this. I'm going into downward dog. I'm going to Sphinx. I'm going like, it's like, but with her, it's like, she's like water. She just flows. She doesn't even think about, there's no sequencing. It's all one movement, you know. She exhales and she does like three different things. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I guess that's what happens. And then it's kind of discouraging because you're kind of like, oh my God, I'm never gonna be able to get to that place. Why even
you
bother?
should feel the opposite. No,
I know.
Yeah. That's what I tell anyone who talks about like being intimidated by working out, or especially music. Like, I have a lot of friends here in St. Louis who are like, I want to play music, but I'm not good. And like, you're so good. I'm like, well, I'm good because I practice every day. Like, you just gotta pick it up. We all start somewhere, and then you find yourself on this journey. It's a journey. It's not an end result.
I love the idea that you are essentially making yourself the focal point of this performance of what is it's live, but it's also performance. And just the fact that you could see it. If anybody who's watching this, if you go YouTube Abby Ooze and find a live video of her doing it, like it's amazing because she's rolling around on the floor. Then she has a baseball bat for that Brat song that I like so much. Then she's stage diving, but there's no stage to dive on. So she's standing on chairs and she's like,
let you know I'm coming out at
letting you know I'm coming at you.
I'm warning you.
You know, you gotta listen. I've seen I've seen how that goes when there's no warning, and it can be bad. It's bad. Yeah.
Just flop like a fish on the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not the best. It's not the best. But you were talking about snottiness. That's what I wanted to just go back to that for a minute, because I do think I can actually see a little bit of that element. I don't know if you see this in your music, but I definitely see a little bit of that in your music in a punky kind of way.
Well, I think that when it comes to when I write, I think about like the worst aspects of myself, and I try to like put a magnifying glass on that.
Ooh.
You know, like I'm not writing about how great I am. Like I'm writing about all the shit that's happened. And, you know, like Brat, you know, Brat, for example, is literally me being like, I'm a fucking brat. Get fucking used to it. It was at a time when like I really wanted to be in a band and no one would be in a band with me. So no one would play with me. So it was kind of just like this, like, I felt like I was having a very childish temper tantrum. And so I was just like, oh, I could tap into that feeling of just like, I'm snotty, I'm a bitch, I want my way, I'm gonna get it. Like that's just exactly where like I try to tap into all the time.
Now I remember exactly what you were talking about that I was trying to fill the dead air with, and now I remember what it was. It was about, you were talking about the juxtaposition of really like maybe either angry music with happy lyrics or the vice versa. And that is absolutely what I'm going to send you the song. I'm going to send you the song by that band, Zombie and the Skeletons, called Bubblegum Machine. And it's exactly that. It's the happiest song ever. And the lyrics are very macabre and a kind of, angsty teenage, like death kind of sort of vibe thing. I don't know. But it's great because you think that it's two things that are in complete contrast to each other. I think that's really sort of profound in itself. You mentioned the word subversive. There's an element of subversiveness to that. I'm also reminded of, I don't know if you're a Pixies fan, but I think about I'm a ginormous Pixies fan. That was the other thing that came to mind when you were talking about that. The song "Here Comes Your Man," which is like a Beatles song. It's like so poppy and happy. And it's about like
sickly sweet.
It's sickly sweet, but it's about hobos. It's about hobos riding boxcars and getting stuff falling on their heads and cracking their skulls open.
Is it really? I did not know
Yeah,
that.
dude. He's one of my favorite lyricists, man. This has been really great to sit and chat with Abby Ooze, because I got to tell you, you discover music on the internet and you listen to it over and over. You have questions. You want to learn more about the process. I'm a person, as some of you know, I like to know about everything. I like to know all the stuff. I don't like mystery. I do like things that capture my imagination, but I also like to learn. I like to learn about the process and stuff. And I just have to say, I really am stoked to have had Abby on the show. And I'm really stoked for what it is that she does. I've recommended her on the channel before. Everybody go check out Abby Ooze wherever you can. I know she's got a band camp sometimes. So we'll put the link down in the description below. And if she is playing a town near you, do not hesitate to go and check that out. Abby, do you have anything for us anything to say at all?
Listen to local music, stay DIY, start a band. Don't move to a bigger town just because you want to be a part of a punk scene. Stay local. Local is global. Fucking pick up a guitar.
Wait, hold on. Back up for 1 second. Why?
Okay.
Wait, well, that was a very specific thing you just said. Don't move to a town for the punk scene. Okay. Why would you? What would be the reason not to do something like that in your opinion?
Because it's the death of local, small town local. Stay and be weird. Create the weirdness. Create a place where young weirdo kids can then also be weirdos instead of we need weirdos in smaller places. You can't just move to New York. Everyone wants to, when you're punk, you're I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to hang out with all the punks. And that's cool. There's a great punk scene in New York. There's a great punk scene in Philly. But if everyone keeps leaving their small town, there's never going to be a weirdo that starts a weird play, a weird punk scene in their town. If you see, some of the best punk scenes in the country are weirdo places in the middle of nowhere who some weirdo was I'm weird. I want to do this. I want to create this space. And they make the best music. The Midwest don't rest, baby. Small towns, we got it.
But basically what you're really saying is be like George Romero and say, fuck you, Hollywood. I'm going to go and make Night of the Living Dead one of the greatest movies ever made, imbued with so much punk rock spirit, and inspire the birth of the midnight movie. That's basically what you're saying in so many words. Right.
Yeah, create your own space. Don't move to a town where there is a space, because they don't want you. They're too cool for you anyway. Right. Stay where you are and be the cool kid. Be the one who does it.
Don't chase after others. Create the fellowship that you crave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's weirdos in your town. You just don't know.
That's true. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Peace and hair grease, as we say here. We'll see you next time.
Man, I got to tell you, I was so glad to have Abby come on the show. I really was. It was so great to talk to her.
You know, it's funny. I didn't know where she was going with that last little bit about being local, but that's exactly what I have embodied my entire life. In my quest to make films, I never tried to go to LA. I never tried to go to New York City. I stayed put and hoped to generate my own blend of weirdness right here, as I continue to do. So I really appreciate that message. You really do not need to go and travel to a place to be creative. Do not let that stop you from doing the thing that it is that you want to do. That is so important. We would never have movies like Night of the Living Dead, Clerks, Pink Flamingos, Eraserhead. These are not Hollywood movies. These are movies that were made regionally, and in some cases, entirely influenced by the flavor of the geography.
I hope if you have been thinking about, writing songs or recording music, that you get some sort of recording device and go to your bedroom and start churning out songs. This is how the spirit of punk rock lives on. It sure helps to have talent like Abby has, but still, go out there and try. Keep your eyes peeled because, as always, we have more stuff. And yeah, if you like this, again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we will see you next time. Peace, hair grease, and all the rest. Goodbye.